Alright. So, this show is seriously going to kill me. These past couple of episodes, oh my god. Anyway, so this is episode 5 of season 1 of NCIS Sydney. And it starts off with Rosie, and interestingly, Mackie does call him Roy instead of Rosie, which, okay, I'm not sure why. But anyway, is in a dog cafe. And his dog is interested in this girl dog who happens to be in heat, which the owner isn't aware of, and Rosie figured it out immediately. So yeah, he's getting off on the right foot with the patrons of the doggy cafe. And in comes this wounded teenager. And she's just looking around trying to figure out what's going on. And until she shows her vest, her bomb vest. And everybody has to sit down. And Rosie calls NCIS. And at first I thought he texted because it was super quick, but then I remembered this is a man who's in his 60s. Can he really text that quickly? I'm going to guess no. It's possible that he can. I mean, just because that this technology became prevalent when he was an adult doesn't mean he didn't figure out how to quickly text. But he did tell Blue he's not a texter. So he just called them and then left the phone on so they could hear what was happening. Unfortunately, Rosie made it a little too obvious because even a freaking 15-year-old figured it out. Now, granted, she was a bit on the paranoid side, but it was pretty obvious when he asked about the plastic explosives around her midriff. So, I mean, obviously he wanted to get NCIS to understand the gravity of the situation because the cops were on her tail, and she's like, see, bomb. And so they backed away. And so Rosie offers to take care of her wound because he's a doctor. But she doesn't want anyone touching her. She just, does her thing, goes on her live feed, threatens people that, if we don't get what we want, I'm going to blow everybody up, which I never understood that for a suicide bomber. Because, okay, so you got away with money, and now you're putting yourself in a position where you can't enjoy that money because you're dead. So anyway, the cops put up a periphery, and unfortunately the head of the squad is a little killing happy. She wants to take her out immediately, and JD's like, she's 15, and of course they have history together, because of course they do. And Mackie obviously picked up on it because that's obvious. And so they reluctantly work together, and of course JD is proven to be correct. So JD convinces Kat to let him be the hostage negotiator, because he's done this before. He's wrote the program, he's wrote the book, he knows what he's doing. Okay, fine. So he delivers a phone, and I just was caught with the fact that they're still using a rotary phone, which I'm actually surprised that Louis knows what that is, unless it's only in the US that millennials have never seen a rotary phone in their lives. Maybe in Australia they're still available, and we haven't gone completely digital in every aspect. But in the US, millennials, Generation Z, probably never seen a rotary phone in their entire freaking lives. Possibly in a museum, but doubtful. But anyway, so Rosie explains that the phone is, to make her demands. She gets a call from who we find out is Stone, and he wants a chopper so they can get the hell out of there. Now, before this happened, Mackie noticed him standing out front. She recognizes that he's suspicious and tries to get after him, and he runs off. So, of course, Mackie is really good at this, because, yes, he is our guy. And she, then makes the demands of a chopper, painkillers, and talking to the health minister, which was a big, why? And I was thinking, okay, someone in her family is sick. That can be the only explanation. I mean, we've got to think 15-year-old here. Obviously, she would want to do anything in her power, and she probably figures that the health minister is your best bet. Because, again, 15-year-old. So, and Rosie is trying to help her, like, he helps her lock the doors. Even though she catches him calling NCIS, she's still willing to let him help her, because you can see how reluctant she is. And the longer this takes and the more she learns about other people's situations, the more reluctant she becomes. Like, obviously she was pissed off at how much doggy treats are in a doggy cafe, which I really can't blame her. I mean, I really don't think dogs give a shit whether what they're being given is super expensive. I mean, they're dogs. Obviously, they want good stuff because, they're still animals. Fun fact, so are we. But do they really care? Can they really tell the difference between a expensive doggy treat and a run-of-the-mill doggy treat? As long as they like it, who cares? Of course, I feel that way about humans, too. Anyway, so Rosie's phone rings, and she assumes that it's the cops that he's talking to. And he's like, pack leader, which didn't help matters in making her think that it's cops. But it's his wife. So we find out that his wife has dementia, and he just that day sent her into a facility to get her the care that she needs, because I assume because he just can't care for her anymore, because, well, he's working, he's got a job, and who knows how far along she is. And some people just don't feel like they can And since he's a doctor, he probably knows the worst case scenario, so he probably just doesn't want to, not that he doesn't want to help her, but he just feels like, you know, might as well do it now because it's going to be hard no matter what. And the more demented she gets, the harder it's going to be. Well, she calls back to tell him, and he did tell her to call whenever and he'll pick up the phone. And she calls to let him know that that she wants to come home, that she hates it there. And that's got to be heartbreaking for him, because he didn't want to send her there. I mean, this is his life partner. Obviously, he's not going to want to do that. And JD takes over the phone, and he apologizes to pack leader. So as of now, we still do not know her name. I don't think when he was talking to her, he actually said her name. I might have missed it, but I don't think we ever learned her name. But JD obviously knows who pack leader is. And so now everybody on the team is aware of Rosie's wife, who has dementia, and he just put her into a home. And Blue is slow. You can see that she's starting to melt. That things are just becoming too much for her. And JD tells Rosie that they're trying to take her out. Well, actually, first he notices that they're trying to take her out and stands in front of her to prevent that from happening. Then we have a canine, a bomb-sniffing dog, that comes in, and Rosie sends Buster to say hello. And they're starting to make all sorts of noise, barking at each other. And so while Louie is distracted, he lets the bomb-sniffing dog in, and she doesn't seem to have a problem with that. And then the bomb-sniffing dog lays at her feet. So, yeah. And so as this is going on, the guys go to visit Louie's mom. And while they're talking to the mom, Evie notices her arms. And then we see Casey, an obvious cancer patient. So the others went to talk, the girls went to talk to the mom, and Dee was stuck talking with Casey. And you could tell he was not comfortable. So I don't know if this is I don't care much for kids, or I don't know how to talk to a little girl, or what was making him nervous, or the fact that she's an obvious cancer patient. Even though he would, ask her things like going to school, and she's like, yeah, I've been sick lately. So I can't imagine that Dee did not know that she had cancer. Like I said, obvious cancer patient is obvious. So, the mom comes back, and you could see her just shooting daggers at Dee for talking to her daughter, which, I mean, he's not hitting on her. Come on. What is this? So they leave, and you find out later that Louie is actually in contact with Casey. and she wants Casey to come to her. I guess because she asked to speak to the health minister. I'm not sure. But, I'm like, how the hell is Casey supposed to get there? She is a cancer patient. She's younger than you are. I'm not sure where you think that this is, how she was supposed to get there. But she was supposed to, Louie was trying to get her sister to come. I guess she was supposed to get her mom to bring her. And, so Louie is starting to break. And she's mentioning about, her sister has cancer, and, that the drugs, and her mom mentioned this too, that the drugs aren't available in Australia that they need, but that they cost like $45,000. And yes, cancer drugs are expensive, and that super sucks. Which, I thought Australia had universal health care. So I thought that the drugs, but then again, if they're not available in Australia, I guess it would make sense that that's why it costs so much, because, they're getting it from a source other than the hospital, which isn't universal health care. So maybe that's it. But, so you can see that Blue is just losing it. And she finally breaks down because previously, I guess, things didn't get, even though she saw a dead body, I guess it wasn't like real for her because she wasn't seeing the death in real time. But Louie is convinced that the bomb is fake. Her mom was convinced that the bomb was fake. She was the one. They went to Stone's apartment. They found her fingerprints. They know that she was the one who made the vest. And Stone made the bomb, which her mom and Louie both thought was a fake bomb. But and that he was her dealer. And that they were going to do this cockamamie scheme because to get drugs for Casey. And so now Stone took Casey as an extra incentive to get Louie to do what he wants her to. Rosie's trying to convince her that even if you give him the money, he's still going to blow us all up. So, Rosie threatens him. And he's basically like, fine, take on someone your own size. I love Rosie so much. And, so, Blue, like I said, has a meltdown. She's like, I can't do this anymore. I just can't. And Mackie just talks to her and said, gotta stay in the game. You gotta keep this up. And she's like, he's going to detonate the bomb no matter what I do. And Mackie convinces her that, she has to keep trying. So she figures out that Casey has a tracker on her bag. And so they use that tracker to find Casey, which finds Stone, and then we find out that indeed is fine with kids because he immediately grabbed Casey and held her behind the oh my god, dumpster. Ugh. And held her while Mackie shoots Stone dead. Because he did actually find the money. And so this was, of course, after JD finally was able to get his signal oh my god, what is the word? I suddenly can't word. Scramble the signal so he can't actually activate the bomb. And because he is the only, to me, Rosie was the MVP of this episode, but JD is a close second because he refused to let them kill a 15-year-old girl who, yes, the bomb was real. Rosie even told Louis the bomb was real because that's why the bomb-sniffing dog was just lying by her feet. It's not because he likes her. It's because he was protecting the bomb. So, of course, she's slowly losing it, which, I mean, who wouldn't to find out you have a bomb strapped to you? That makes sense. And, so Louis, unfortunately, thinks that everything's over, so she tries to take the bomb vest off. Unfortunately, in doing so, she activates the bomb. And so, Rosie did a bit of a play acting, asking her about the drugs and, do you really think that she has a chance with these drugs? Which leads me to believe the answer is no. Rosie knows that even if you got the drugs, that it would do jack shit to help Casey. That Casey is dead. I hate to say this, but it sounds like that's where Rosie's line of questioning was leading. But, he's also doing this as a distraction tactic to get her to not think about the fact that the bomb is going to go off. So they were able to disable the bomb, but unlike the usual high stakes, it wasn't with 1 second left. So we have that going for us. It was like with 3 minutes left. So still, from an hour to 3 minutes, still a lot of time, but at least it wasn't with 1 second left. And it turns out, Rosie took the gun that was laying there, and the gun was also empty. So Kat, who was so sure that she was minimizing damage, was going to kill a girl who wasn't the one who had, I mean, it's possible that she also could have triggered the bomb, but more likely the button was a dummy, and that Stone was the only one who could have blown everything up. So they would have shot Louis, and he would have blown the whole kit and caboodle up anyway, because she was never in control. Plus, she had a gun that was unloaded. It was a completely empty gun, and so Kat must feel horrible realizing that, yes, she did some bad things, but at the same time, she didn't realize that what she was doing was as bad. I mean, obviously the bank robbery is bad, but she really didn't think that the bomb was real. She probably knew that the gun was empty. And Rosie's staying with her and helping her as much as he could. I mean, he's so sweet. We now know he has a wife who has just been diagnosed with dementia. Or maybe she's bad enough, like I said, that he felt he can't care for her anymore. But we don't know if they have kids. Based on how he's treating Louis, I hope he does, because he's damn good with dealing with kids. So The last scene we have is of Blue driving Rosie to the care home where he dropped off Alice. I'm sorry, I looked it up. I know now her name is Alice, but I don't think they said it in the show. But he, tried to get Blue to leave. First he asked they were talking about the case and about the drugs, and Blue's like, yeah, somebody started up a GoFundMe so they could, and it raised thousands of dollars so they can buy the drugs. And he's like, oh, who could have that been? I don't know. It's obvious it was Blue. And then that somebody emptied their bank account into the fund, implying that was Rosie. And Rosie's like, oh yeah, I can just get a cab on the way home. So which leads me to believe that he has no intention of taking his wife home. That even though she said she doesn't like it there, that them's the breaks, you're stuck there. And Blue's like, I got podcasts to catch up on, take your time. It's all good. And since we're talking about summer in Australia, I'm sure she doesn't even have to keep the car running. So she doesn't have to worry about, well, I guess it depends on how hot the area is they are. Maybe she does need to keep the car running for air conditioning, because podcasts she could listen to either on the car radio or on her phone. Who knows? So now everybody knows about Rosie and his wife. So the actual final thing is JD and Mackie talking. JD was going to get some espresso from Rosie's machine. And Mackie's like, are you sure Roy's okay with you using that? And he's like, Rosie owes me. Which, okay. And, so there are no beans, so he got nada. So he apparently is a coffee snob. Sounds like my brother, actually. So he took the half-day-old coffee, and she's like, it's been brewing the entire time. And apparently he has to do retraining, and how he's in a lot of trouble, and that she's rubbed off on him because, he went against orders and now he's in trouble. And Mackie's like, yeah, comes with the territory. She didn't seem to be at all moved by the fact that this was happening to him. So he asked about Kat. And she's like, oh, so a bit more recent history. And I thought you were married. I am, but I'm not. Because the divorce hadn't gone through. So that makes sense. And he has a son, Jack, who's a few years younger than Louis. So that probably adds to his not wanting to get a scared 15-year-old girl shot. Not just because he's a decent human being, at least in this regard, but he probably sees his kid in Louis and doubly not wanting anything bad to happen to her. So that's how it ends. And the fact that he's getting a divorce and they're slowly gelling, NCIS has to have at least one romantic entanglement, even if it's a unrequited. That one side has the hots for the other, or something. It's just, or just simply a slow burn. But they eventually get there. And so I don't know if they're going to hook up both couples, just one. I mean, I have no idea what's going on, but I have this fear, this existential fear that something's going to happen to one of the couples. And I'm not happy because I happen to like it the way it is. Well, Evie could be nicer to Dee, but other than that, let's see if there's anything I missed. Now, when they were scrambling the signal, they said they had to get the okay from the top. But they had the equipment available to scramble. Okay? I guess it makes sense. You don't have the equipment there, then get the okay. I don't know. Let's see if there's anything else about this episode that I missed. Oh, I knew that Louis wasn't actually interested in hurting any of the hostages because one of the guys who initially opened the door so JD could give her the phone, when he hightailed it out of there. Oh, actually, no, when he was giving her the painkillers. When he hightailed it out of there, she just threatened everybody else, but she didn't, try to shoot him or do anything like that. So yeah, that, and I think Rosie picked up on that, how unserious she was being about killing everybody. Except for the part about that bomb being real, even though she thought it was fake. Let's see if there's anything else I missed that I wanted to cover. She said, "You're still talking to them, aren't you?" And my question is, how? How is that happening? Unless when JD gave her the phone, there was a bug or something, so he could still hear what Rosie was saying. Because that, otherwise I can't understand how that would have happened. Let's see. I think I've got everything now. I think I've covered everything from the show. We found out that it was the mother who was supposed to don the vest, but Louis saw that she was getting cold feet because it was supposed to be the next day. And her mother was getting cold feet, which I don't know if it was the bank robbery part or deep down she questioned whether that bomb was actually fake. But, they are robbing a bank, so maybe that's it. I think now I covered everything. Yeah, I definitely covered everything. It's just too bad that Casey, didn't give up everything. She did mention the name Stone, but it's just too bad because she was in contact with Louis. So it was just too bad that she didn't, say more. but maybe she didn't know that Louis was going to contact her, or, that she only knew what little Louis was telling her. I don't know. But anyway, I think I've covered this entire episode to death. So with that, I will see you guys in the next video.